I'm going to pee on myself. It was the end of the school day, the last day of school to be exact, and I was just sure my slacks were going to be saturated with piss in no time at all. I squeezed my thighs together as tight as I could while offering goodbye hugs to my now second graders. Of course, the tightest hug of all came from the baddest rugrat I'd ever experienced in my 3 years of teaching. But I suppose it was something like a peace offering for all the mayhem he had caused from fall to summer. Summer. It had never sounded sweeter than it did in this moment, though I didn't exactly have plans other than binge-watching a few shows I missed out on during the school year. It was annoying as hell scanning through Twitter on any given night just to find people live tweeting the shows I didn't have time for. And even when I did have time, I used it trying to catch up with my on-again, off-again boyfriend, who was miles away in LA working as a video vixen. Well, the male version.
Jackson, go potty before we leave. I don't want you to have an accident. No matter how close we were, already cutting it on time, I couldn't help but smile when my 3-year-old son confidently replied, "Daddy, I'm a big boy. I'm not gonna pee on myself." Sure, he had been potty trained for a solid year now, but the kinks still hadn't completely worked themselves out. So this time, instead of demanding, I suggested, "Well, how about you at least go try, Jax? It's hard to go pee on planes." Of course, that simple tidbit of information made his curiosity brew. "Why, Daddy?" I finished packing the last of my clothes, hoping I had enough to rotate through the summer as I explained. "Well, sometimes, even when you have to go really bad, you can't because the pilot wants you to keep your seatbelt on." "Why, Daddy?" he asked, his little eyebrows bunched together as he looked up at me, reminding me of his mother's. But I was pretty sure the eyebrows were the only thing he inherited from her, every other feature making him practically a spitting image of me. That fact alone made me smile again as I answered, "So that you'll be safe in case there's turbulence or something like that." It seemed as if the more I told him, the more confused he became, this time cocking his head and squinting his eyes when he asked, "What's turbulence?" "When the plane shakes," I answered quickly as I closed the top of my suitcase, zipping it closed and setting it on the ground next to Jackson's smaller one that had thankfully been packed the night before. There was no way in hell I would have had the time to do it today, especially with the curious Jackson continuing to quiz me with questions like, "But why does the plane shake?" "Because, Jackson, just go potty, all right?" He sighed as if he was defeated before he stomped off to the bathroom, something I would have checked him on any other time. But since we didn't have time to deal with a real breakdown, I let him get away with it. Truth be told, I would have loved to explain the whole process with him, do some research like we always seem to do about everything these days, but we had a plane to catch.